We often witness tearful farewells in the office or parting embraces at a cafe following a shattered romance where the one departing bows their head in gratitude to the one staying for giving them an opportunity or for having once loved them. It is a touching scene, seemingly brimming with humanity and kindness. But if you look closely into the eyes of the one who remains, do you catch that spark of relief flashing behind the mask of regret? Why do people find themselves thanking the person holding the knife that just severed their lifeline? Why does the sheep feel grateful to the wolf for not devouring it instantly, but instead merely driving it away from the lush, green pasture? The paradox lies in the fact that humans would rather believe they chose to leave because they were not a fit than admit they were being discarded because they no longer had value. The strong, those seasoned players on the chessboard of the human heart, understand this better than anyone. They never brutally kick a piece off the board. To do so would create a noise that alarms the other pieces and earns them a reputation for cruelty. Instead, they inject the victim's mind with a dose of sugar-coated poison called self-respect, making the victim feel they are no longer worthy of sitting at the board. This is the art of killing a relationship without leaving a single drop of blood on one's hands. The mechanism of this trap operates on the greatest of human fears, not the fear of hunger, nor the fear of death, but the fear of being invalidated. When the ego is attacked directly, the natural reflex is to bristle in defense. But when the ego is first stroked and then slowly strangled by false expectations, the victim falls into a spiral of self-doubt. The hunter never says, "You are incompetent." They say, "I believe you could have done better, so why are the results like this?" Artfully performed disappointment is more terrifying than 1,000 insults. Insults create enemies, but disappointment creates sinners who seek voluntary penance. Look at the glass-walled offices filled with the constant hum of air conditioners, where purges take place in absolute silence. There is no shouting, no formal dismissal notices. There are only private meetings, suggestive sighs, and impossible tasks handed down with a smile of trust. The person who wants to eliminate you will start by elevating you onto a towering pedestal where the air is thin and the wind is fierce. A place where you are not yet strong enough to stand firm. They hand you a sword that is far too heavy while praising your strength, so that when you cannot lift it, you are the first one to feel ashamed. That feeling of shame is the key. Once the seed of "I am not competent enough" sprouts, the manipulator only needs to water it with a little coldness. Emails are left unanswered, lunches are accidentally forgotten, and important information takes a detour to everyone else before finally reaching you. You begin to struggle in a quagmire of insecurity. You try to work twice or 3 times as hard to prove yourself, but the more you struggle, the deeper you sink, because the standards have been silently shifted. The finish line is moved further away every time you're about to touch it. By this point, self-respect, which should have been a shield to protect one's dignity, becomes a knife turned inward toward the heart. You cannot bear the real or imagined gazes of your colleagues. You cannot endure the high-pressure silence of your superiors. You begin to tell yourself that this environment is not for you, that you need another place to grow, or that you are too different from the culture here. These reasons sound so pleasant to the ear, so noble, yet they are used to cover a naked truth you are being forced to give up. The manipulator observes this entire process with the patience of a crocodile stalking its prey. They are in no rush. Time is on their side. They know that humans tend to protect their self-image more than their practical interests. If you are fired, your record is tainted and your honor is lost. But if you submit your resignation, it is a proactive act, a choice full of pride. The victim keeps their hollow reputation, while the manipulator achieves the goal of eliminating redundant personnel without spending a penny on severance pay, without getting entangled in legal trouble, and while even earning the reputation of a merciful boss who listens to their employees' wishes. The cruelty of this method lies in how it strips the victim of their right to be angry. How can one be angry with a boss who constantly says, "It's such a pity, but I respect your decision"? How can one hate someone who organized a farewell party and wished you success on your new path? The victim leaves with blind gratitude. feeling they owe their predecessor a debt of kindness, when in reality, they have just been squeezed and discarded in the cleanest way possible. They carry the psychological wound of their own perceived incompetence into a new environment, continuing to be timid and vulnerable, unaware that this incompetence was merely an elaborately staged illusion. This script is identical in romantic relationships. One partner wants to break up, but doesn't want to be labeled a betrayer. Thus, a campaign of planned indifference begins. Messages become sparse, dates are cancelled at the last minute for work reasons, and complaints about life's pressures are used to create distance. They don't say, "Let's break up." Instead, they make their partner feel utterly lonely within the relationship itself. They make the partner feel like a burden, someone who demands too much, or who lacks sympathy. Then, when endurance hits rock bottom, the other person will be the one to speak the words of parting through tears. The manipulator will feign agony, offer a few half-hearted words about holding on, and then reluctantly accept because they want what is best for you. The result is that the one who wanted to go leaves with a clear conscience, while the one left behind is consumed by the guilt of having let go of a good person, of not being patient or tolerant enough. Pride makes them proactively withdraw to save their last shred of dignity. But that very dignity is exactly what the other person exploited for a safe escape. This world operates on interests, and emotions are merely tools to navigate the flow of those interests. The truly powerful rarely raise their voices. Raising one's voice is an expression of helplessness. True power lies in the ability to shape another person's reality. When they want you gone, they will make staying a hell, but a hell that you yourself feel, not one they formally created. They turn you into your own enemy. Every morning you wake up, look in the mirror, and see a failure. That is when the trap has snapped shut perfectly. Look deeper into the concept of worthiness. Who defines it? In this game, the one with power is the one holding the ruler. They can stretch or shrink that ruler at will. Today you achieve 10 parts. They smile and say, "Well done," but the standard is now 12. Tomorrow you strive for 12. They sigh and say the market has changed, and 15 is now required just to survive. You run after your own shadow until you are exhausted and collapse. When you fall, they will pick you up, dust you off, and gently advise, "Take a rest. Perhaps this race is too much for you." How merciful that sentence sounds, yet its inner meaning is a death sentence for your career in that place. Many people mistakenly believe that self-respect means holding one's head high and walking away when they are not appreciated. That is true, but it is not enough. One must distinguish between truly not being valued and a trap set to provoke one's vanity. If you leave because you have a better option, that is a victory. But if you leave only because you feel terrible and useless and want to escape that feeling, then you have lost completely. You have followed the script written by the manipulator. Sometimes stubbornness and a thick skin are the only weapons against this type of manipulation. When you realize you are being isolated, given impossible tasks, or unreasonably undervalued, the common reaction is to feel hurt and withdraw. But the reaction of an awakened person must be to stay put and demand transparency. Do not let vague hints control your behavior. Force them to speak clearly in writing. Force them to provide specific criteria. When you do not allow your pride to be wounded by psychological blows, the manipulator will falter. They will be forced to show their true face and resort to cruder measures, and at that moment, the mask of mercy will fall. But how many can actually do that? Humans are conditioned to save face. Vanity is our fatal vulnerability. We fear being judged as desperate or shameless. It is precisely the culture of praising hollow vanity that aids manipulators. They know for certain that just a light touch on one's ego will cause the opponent to instinctively pack their bags. It is a smooth, clean, and civilized elimination. Looking broadly at society, waves of layoffs under the beautiful names of restructuring or optimizing the apparatus carry this same tone. They don't fire you, they just change your job description, change your work location, cut auxiliary benefits, and create an environment where the opportunity cost of staying is higher than leaving. Long-term employees with high salaries whose contributions have plateaued are often the first targets. Instead of paying a large severance to terminate the contract, the company will tighten KPIs, scrutinize hours, and create invisible pressure. Finally, that employee writes a letter for early retirement or switches jobs with a sense of liberation, thanking the company for the many years together without realizing they have just handed the owners a massive sum of money for free. The fake gratitude in such partings is the opium that lulls the crowd who remain. Those not yet eliminated look on and think, "Wow, this company treats those who leave so kindly. It must just be that he wanted a change of scenery." Trust in the organization is reinforced, and they continue to sacrifice, continue to let the strings of interest pull them until it is their turn to be placed on the psychological operating table. Life is not a fairy tale where good people are always treated fairly. This is a dense jungle where the smartest predators do not use claws, but use their intellect to guide their prey into the trap. The pride trap is the most sophisticated because it is camouflaged by dignity. It makes the victim think they are acting for honor when, in fact, they are acting for the benefit of someone else. Wake up. Do not be quick to believe the feeling of not being worthy rising in your heart. Ask yourself where that feeling comes from. Does it stem from actual competence, or from a skewed comparison that someone is imposing on you? Do not be quick to thank the person holding the door open for you to leave. Look closely at what their other hand is hiding behind their back. It might be a financial report that looks much better when your name is absent from the payroll. When you understand this ruthless rule, you will learn to value yourself more realistically. Self-respect is not easily giving up when facing difficulties or cold attitudes. Self-respect is knowing exactly where your value lies. It is the ability to distinguish between constructive criticism and psychological manipulation. Do not let your ego become a fatal weakness. In the Game of Thrones of interests, whoever lets emotion lead the way will be the first to leave the board amidst the ironic applause of the winners. Leaving the game is fine, but leave because you have found a better game, not because you think you are not skilled enough to play the current one. Do not let them brainwash you. Do not let them write your life story with the ink of cowardice wrapped in the shell of pride. Remember, no resignation is noble if it originates from manipulation. Only awakening will help you maintain true dignity amidst a world full of invisible traps.